What's up, everybody? Justin here with a new countdown video. New countdown, a top 10 countdown. I did my top 10 feuds I loved. Couple shows ago in my countdowns playlist. Look in my countdowns playlist for my top 10 feuds in wrestling I loved. This video is the top 10 feuds I hated in wrestling. And a lot of them are... trying to look here. Mostly all of them are from the WWE almost. Or like 50% maybe are from WWF, WWE. Here we go, number 10. Again, this is my new countdown top 10 feuds I hated. Now, I probably could have made a top 20 or 30, but I didn't. Number 10. It was short-lived, but my God, it was a bad feud. It was really bad. It was in 1995. Another bad year. Just one of the worst years in wrestling. Because you had so many goofy, stupid-ass characters. The talent was not bad. You had guys like Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, Diesel, Bret Hart, Owen Hart. That's in the WWF. Even the Smoking Guns. They were a damn good tag team. 1, 2, 3 Kid was good. Hakushi was good. WCW, you had... after Nitro started, you had Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit, Harlem Heat, the Steiner Brothers, Sting, the Giant, the Macho Man, and of course Hogan, but he was not looked at as a young star in 95. Macho Man wasn't either, but still, WWF, WCW, even ECW in 95 had good talent. It's just WCW and WWF did a lot of bad storylines, a lot of bad characters in 95. Number 10 is, again, from WCW in 1995. It was a short-lived feud, but it was god-awful, so it made this top 10. Feuds I hated. Dustin Rhodes against the Blacktop Bully. Blacktop Bully was formerly Demolition Axe and the Repo Man, and also one of the Russians, Crusher Cruise Ship, in NWA Jim Crockett Promotions. Then he went to Mid-South. Then he went back to NWA. Then he went to WWF in 87. Thank God he became Demolition Smash. But anyways, Dustin Rhodes, Blacktop Bully, had a god-awful feud. One of the worst. And it's a feud I hate. Their final match, and I think they're both fired. Or Blacktop Bully is fired, or maybe Dustin was fired. I'm not sure, but Bischoff was running WCW, and he got so pissed, or he got so angry over the King of the Road match that I think he tried to fire both of them. Because Dustin, I believe, bladed and bled, and he was not supposed to, and the stupid road agent of the match, I think it was Mike Graham, I think, and he was fired because he told them, I heard Bischoff say this on his podcast with Conrad Thompson, whatever, Conrad. I think that's how you say the guy's name. Anyways, the king of the podcast, wrestling podcast. He's worked with everybody. JR, Bischoff, now Arn Anderson, and Tony Schiavone. So anyways, Dustin Rhodes, Bischoff said he was upset. He was like, I'm not going to get fired, am I, for blading? And the agent of the match, King of the Road match, was like, no, you're not going to get fired. You can do it. And then Bischoff was pissed. Bischoff didn't want him to bleed, even though it was fucking pay-per-view and it was called uncensored. Like, what's the big goddamn deal? To have one guy bleed on a pay-per-view called uncensored. I don't get that, but whatever. It was a different era, 95, where there was like barely any violence in wrestling or blood unless you were an ECW fan. Then you could get your blood and guts and violence in 95. But ECW was not easy to see. I didn't see it in 95. You would have had to be a tape trader and trade tapes to see ECW. They were not on TV. In my hometown of Milwaukee, they were not on TV until 99 or late 98 on syndicated TV on weekends at like 2 or 3 or 1 in the morning. Sometimes 4 a.m. is when I would watch ECW or record it at 4 a.m. So I was aware of ECW through like wrestling magazines, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, but that was it. I didn't get to see them in 95. And of course now I've seen everything they did in 95 from DVDs and documentaries and having a ton of old ECW footage that I've watched on the network from 95 or old ECW TV shows. Or even videos. Late 90s, early 2000s, I ordered a ton of ECW tapes. Like Best of Cactus Jack, Best of Tommy Dreamer, Best of Taz. And I got to see a lot of 95 ECW in those Best of videos. So number 10 is Dustin Rhodes' Blacktop Bully, a feud I hated. Number 9, JBL John Cena in 2005. I did not enjoy their feud. They had one good match at Judgment Day. It was a bloodbath where Cena bled a ton. Looked like Cena needed a blood transfusion after how much he fucking bled everywhere. His like shorts were covered in it, and his chest was covered in his blood. So number 9, JBL. That guy's been part of some of the worst feuds that I've hated. He's in a feud with Undertaker I did not enjoy. I just thought Taker should have squashed him the first match, and it should have been over. But they had like a couple matches on pay-per-view. Back in 03, I believe. So John Cena, JBL is a feud I hated. That's number 9 in 2005. Number 8, Ric Flair, Vince Russo in the year 2000 in WCW 2000. Now they actually had a match. Why? Poor Ric Flair had to try to. That was an embarrassment. Seeing Vince Russo wrestle was embarrassing, and an embarrassment to the business. Russo, I don't care if you had a ton of heat with the crowd, and you did because you fucking sucked. Shouldn't have been on camera. Shouldn't have put yourself on TV. And you should have never, ever booked yourself in a match on a pay-per-view. Great American Bash 2000. Now, the show wasn't that good, but it was still a big pay-per-view, Great American Bash. That was a big named, big event for WCW every year. And your dumbass, Russo, decided to book yourself in a match against Ric Flair. And poor Ric Flair, he had to carry your ass. He seriously, I don't know how he did it. He had to carry your ass. And the crowd actually got behind him to kick your ass because every fan wanted to see Russo get his fucking ass kicked. They probably still would want to see him get his ass kicked. But I won't because I don't want Russo in the wrestling business on TV ever again for any company. The guy could book for indies that I don't watch. He could book some indie show that's not on TV. That's fine, but never have, please, AEW, WWE, Impact is never going to hire him again because they don't need him. Impact is Don Callis, Scott D'Amore, Tommy Dreamer, Conan helping book. So they don't need Russo. Even though WWE has Bruce Pritchard now running SmackDown. Even Bruce Pritchard, that guy's got to be smarter than Russo. WWE doesn't need Russo. They got Heyman, Pritchard, Triple H, and Vince mostly probably booking or coming up with shit. So number 8, I hate to put Ric Flair in a feud I hated, but I hated it because I hated Russo being involved in it. I love Ric Flair to death. The guy is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. He's in my top 5. He's probably number 2 of my favorite of all time. Number 8, Ric Flair, Vince Russo in 2000. Number 7, Alberto Del Rio. A lot of feuds that guy was a part of were just bad, and I did hate him a lot because I wanted to see Alberto Del Rio get the fuck off my TV and go away. The guy was overexposed, the guy's overrated, and the guy was just booked way too much as a main eventer. And he was boring as hell. I didn't want to see him on TV anymore, and they kept pushing him down our throats, I felt like. They pushed him too much as a heel, as a top guy. Seriously, the guy is probably with the world heavyweight title and WWE title, the guy is probably like a 4-time world champion, or 3-time at least. Number 7, Alberto Del Rio, John Cena. I hated the feud. Number 6, Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy in 2009. Building up to WrestleMania 25, I hated the feud. I didn't want to see two real brothers. I didn't want to see them fight. I just didn't. I didn't care for it. I didn't want to see it. And it's a feud I hated. Now, it wasn't the worst of all time. The worst would be number 1. Number 5. Oh, this was bad. Oh my goodness, this was fucking bad. That's why it's in the top 5. Number 5, from 1989, WWF in 1989, Zeus. The character from No Holds Barred, Zeus. The short-lived run of Zeus in pro wrestling. He wasn't around long, thank God. He did appear on 2 major pay-per-views, SummerSlam and Survivor Series 89. That was a bad idea. But he had the presence. Tiny Lister, Zeus. The guy had the size, he had the look, he had the presence as a kid. As a 5-year-old kid watching, I was scared of him. I was legit scared of him. I was like, he's going to kill Hogan. And then I'm going to be upset forever. I was scared of Zeus. The guy looked like a killer, like a fucking monster heel. But he couldn't wrestle, he couldn't work. He was god-awful at selling. My goodness, he's bad at selling. It's not his fault. The guy's an actor. The guy got hired by Vince. Probably got paid a ton of money probably to come wrestle. I'm not even sure. I don't even think he wanted to. He did it for the money, I'm sure. It's not, I mean, if I was in Zeus's shoes back then, 30 years ago, and I knew I didn't want to learn how to wrestle, or I didn't care to learn how to wrestle, if I knew that, I still would have took all that money from Vince, but whatever. So, yeah, number 5, feuds I hated, number 5 is Zeus against Hulk Hogan in 1989. Their feud in the movie was fine. No holds barred. Zeus and Hogan were the guys that were the main focus of the movie, no holds barred. Again, their feud in the movie, I was fine with it, but not on WWF TV or pay-per-views. It was bad. I think he first appeared outside a steel cage on Saturday night's main event. I still remember it in my head watching it as a 5-year-old. Because Zeus was blocking the steel cage door. He was on the stairs like this. He had like these giant shoulder pads on, or looked like shoulder pads. He had like these some metal crap for his, what do they call that, wrist tape? Or not arm tape, whatever, wrist tape. So he had like these metal things. That was weird. And then Hogan was like staring up at him, and then he started hitting Hogan right here. He's hitting him on his shoulders. And Hogan was down and like out and selling tremendously for Zeus. I will say Hogan made Zeus look good by selling for him so damn much. Watch Hogan back in the 80s. The guy was one of the best sellers of all time as a babyface. Selling for a lot of monster heels. Because everybody believed Hogan could legit lose to guys like King Kong Bundy, Andre, Zeus. Trying to think of others. Big John Studd. So again, Zeus, Hogan. One of the feuds I absolutely hated is number 5. Number 4, Hulk Hogan again. Part of one of the feuds I hated. And I love Hogan to death. The guy is one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. Hulk Hogan is the reason. I truly believe Hogan is the reason why I'm a wrestling fan. Because I saw him on TV as a 3-year-old kid and I was hooked. Number 4, Hulk Hogan against the Giant in the Dungeon of Doom in 1995. It was god awful. It was so awful. Now that when I look back on it, it's pretty fucking hilarious. Especially what they did at Halloween Havoc 95. The Monster Truck Challenge. Then the Giant accidentally falls off the top of the damn building, falling to his death. Any regular man would die, but not in pro wrestling. You come back from the dead. And the Giant just walks out for the main event of Halloween Havoc 95. He comes out with not a scratch on him. Like, couldn't they done some damn makeup effect? Like, his head busted open and fake blood going down his head or something. But no, he comes out unfazed. That was insane. And then the announcers, Schiavone, Bobby Heenan, I think Dusty Rhodes, they tried to act shocked, like, oh my God, he's here. How's he here? Or he fell off the building. Or whatever they said. It was hilarious. How they were trying to sell it. God almighty. Then you have the Yeti come out. Just god awful. The only good thing about it was the Giant won the world title in his first ever match. First ever match on pay-per-view in a main event against Hulk Hogan. That's a pretty good first match, if you ask me. So Hogan, the Giant, and the Dungeon of Doom feud was a feud I hated. That's number 4. Number 3, from the WWE. I think it was 2008 or 2009 or 2010 maybe. Michelle McCool, Mickie James. I hated their feud. I absolutely hated it, and mostly because the stupid whoever came up with it The damn creative writers, let's make fun of Mickie James's weight. Like she was overweight. She was never overweight. Now, she might have been looked at as thick. She might have been looked at as thick by some people. But so what? I always thought she had a great body, even if she's really thick. So what? I like thick women. So, Mickie James and a Piggy James storyline, I don't even like saying it. It was just absolute trash and shit and garbage. And maybe they did that to Mickie because she didn't want to re-sign. I don't know. Because after that, she was gone basically and joined Impact. Michelle McCool, Mickie James, god-awful feud I hated, is number 3. Number 2, Sheamus. Now, I made fun of Sheamus on Twitter. I ripped him, made jokes about him. I got blocked by him. I believe I'm still blocked. I'm not proud of making fun of Sheamus and ripping him for so many years, but the guy, again, I thought was on TV too much, pushed too much, just put over way too much as a main event heel. In my opinion, he was just booked way too much as a main eventer and a world champion. I got so goddamn sick of seeing him. Finally, when Sheamus joined Cesaro, they became the Bar. That is when I changed my mind on Sheamus. And he changed my mind. The guy's a damn good worker. I'm not going to make fun of him ever again. There's just no reason to anymore. I think I heard Sheamus might return. I hope he does because I don't want him to be injured and have to retire. I believe he's not even 38 years old, so you shouldn't have to retire at that age. But number 2, feuds I hated, Sheamus and Alberto Del Rio. I fucking hated the feud. Mostly because I really hated both guys, and I still dislike Alberto Del Rio. I think the guy's scum. I think the guy's a jerk-off and a jackass. Sheamus, he's a good guy. I was stupid in the past for making fun of him. And I deserved to get blocked. And I was mean to Sheamus. I didn't curse him out or anything, but I was constantly using the hashtag shameass. Shameass. I was just ripping him all the time, every time he's on TV. So, number 2, Sheamus, Alberto Del Rio feud I hated. Number 1 was so bad. It was short-lived, but it main evented a major pay-per-view, and I hated it as a feud. Hulk Hogan, again, it's not Hogan's fault. Maybe it is. Because he booked his friend Brutus, the Barber Beefcake, or the Butcher, or the Booty Man, or Zodiac, or the Man with No Name, or the Disciple, or Brutus the Barber Beefcake, the Man of 1,000 Gimmicks. That guy had so many goddamn gimmicks, and every one of them he was bad at. And the Disciple was okay, because he never wrestled hardly. He just stood there and was a bodyguard. I didn't even know the Disciple was Brutus at first because it didn't even look like him. Guy just looked like some biker. So anyways, I think Bischoff said he didn't book it, but he agreed to it because Hogan wanted to face his friend Brutus and bring him in. So Bischoff agreed to it because Hogan wanted to do it. So I guess it's Hogan's fault. If it is, you were wrong for booking that Hogan. You were really stupid and wrong for that. Hulk Hogan against the Butcher. At Starrcade 94, they main evented it for the world title. Thank God Hogan retained. That was the only good thing about it. If Brutus or Butcher or whatever the fuck his name was, I was never a fan of the Brutus as a wrestler. I never liked any of his gimmicks. The only gimmick that he was good at was a disciple. But Brutus, I still believe this. You were lucky to know Hulk Hogan. You were lucky to know Terry Bollea. You were goddamn lucky to get in the WWF, have a 10-year run or 9-year run. You were lucky to get into WCW because of Hogan and your friendship to Hogan. If you were not his friend, you wouldn't have had those jobs for all those years. You made a ton of money, and you basically jumped on Hogan's back, and I think you used him. You used his friendship just to get hired. And Hogan is very loyal to his boys and his friends. Like, he's loyal to the Nasty Boys. He got them jobs. He got Hacksaw Jim Duggan a job in WCW. He brought in Jimmy Hart. But Jimmy Hart's a smart man, so he deserved to actually have a job. I like Hacksaw too, and the Nasty Boys. They deserve jobs. But Brutus did not deserve a job in WCW. Hogan even brought in the Honky Tonk Man for some reason. I guess they were friends. And, my God, Hogan and Brutus in WCW Starrcade 94, a feud I absolutely hated. Now, before it, they kept building up a Masked Man is attacking Hogan all the time with a pipe and at Clash of Champions. Yeah, and then they take the mask off and it's fucking Brutus Beefcake. I was pissed as a 10-year-old kid watching. I think I was 11 at the time. I was fucking pissed. I was like, Brutus, the fucking jobber mid-carder that nobody gives a flying fuck about, is gonna face Hogan at Starrcade. I might have saw Starrcade 94 live at a friend's house. I don't remember, but I was pissed. I was like, Brutus is the attacker that was under the mask. That's fucking lame, and that's a giant fail. Hope you enjoy my top 10 feuds that I hated. Hope you enjoyed it. What are some of your feuds that you hated? Leave them in the comments. I would like to know what they are, or tweet me them on Twitter at WWE NXT Guy. Tweet me some of the feuds you absolutely hated. In your time of being a wrestling fan, what are some of the feuds you hated in wrestling for any company? Or any major company you watched? So again, hope you enjoy my top 10 feuds I hated in wrestling. Bye for now.